Hi friends, welcome to Thrilling Thursday. We are doing problem string 2. Just like last time, please pause whenever you need to think about the equation and then press play again to follow along with me. This is your homework for today. So we're thinking about races. Raise your hand if you like to race your friends. I remember in 5th grade it being a really big deal to figure out how long it took me to run a mile. And I remember kids that could run a mile in under 8 minutes. That was like a really big deal. Right now, it probably would take me 9 to 10 minutes, just kind of shuffling along, and I'm totally okay with that. Whether you run a mile in 12 minutes, or are like a crazy 7-minute miler, either way, we're going to use ratio tables and division to figure out how fast people are running today. So, if a student ran 4 miles in 20 minutes, 4 miles in 20 minutes, how long did it take them to run each mile? Pause here if you need to. The strategy that I want to show is ratio tables, right? And we've done this, but not for a while. So remember, 20 minutes for 4 miles. What we do to the bottom, we always do to the top. If we're figuring out how long it took them to run 1 mile, we need to divide this by 4, correct? So we get 1 mile, and then divide the top by 4. 20 divided by 4 gets us, correct, 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes to run 1 mile. Let's make it a little more challenging. If a student ran 2 miles in 20 minutes, 2 miles in 20 minutes, how fast was he running? What was his pace per mile? Some of you might be saying, Miss Miller. I know Oliver's saying, I want harder math. Okay, but just bear with me. Really quick, ratio table. 20 miles over 2 minutes. Sorry, it's a little sloppy, friends, but you get the drift. We divide 2 by, that's right. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 1 mile is 10 minutes. 10 minutes per mile. Another way we could write that is 10 minutes over mile. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, friends, next one. If a student runs 8 miles in 40 minutes, what is their pace per mile? 8 miles, 40 minutes. Another way we'd write this is 40 divided by 8. And if you want to do the old problem string, which is helpful, right? We have 40 minutes, 8 miles. We'll divide by 2. Divide by 2. 20 minutes for 4 miles. Again, divide by 2. 10 minutes for 2 miles. Right? And then we can do it again. Or some of you noticed a quicker shortcut would just be to divide 4 by 4 to get 1, to divide 20 by 4 to get 5. So the answer is a 5-minute mile. Wow, they were fast. 40 divided by 8 is 5, and in this case, their pace was 5 minutes per mile. All right, I gotta be careful not to write on my apartment here. Next one. If a student ran 3 miles in 30 minutes, what was their pace per mile? Same thing, we could use a ratio table, or 30 minutes for 3 miles. Some of you might just know 3 times what equals 30? Quick division. 30 divided by 3 equals 10. 10-minute mile, right? And of course, we can use the ratio table, same way. But I want to ask you a quick question first. The very first one we did, where we had 4 miles in 20 minutes, I'm noticing a connection. Our very first ratio table, we got a pace of 5 minutes per mile. I'm wondering when you look at 40 divided by 8 what you see there. Right? It's the same thing. It's an equivalent fraction. So 40 divided by 8 and 20 divided by 4, right, are going to give us the same answer. And we can see that on our ratio tables. We can see that connection. Just important to note. All right, finally, we're going to make it a little more tricky for those of you that are rolling your eyes at me. If a student walked a half a mile in 30 minutes, how fast was he walking? What was his pace per mile? Now wait, he didn't even walk a full mile, so why would we do pace per mile? Often, when we're talking about how fast someone goes, whether it's a car or a person, the way that we create that standard is per mile. So even though the student only went a half a mile in 30 minutes, we're still going to figure out how much he went per mile. So, half a mile in 30 minutes. Okay, we're still going to do a ratio table, friends. 1/2 is the miles, 30 is the minutes. We'll do 30 on top over 1/2. How do we know how far he went for 1 mile? What do we need to do? Pause here and show me on your work what your ratio table is. That's right. So we have to multiply to figure this one out, right? You multiply 1/2 times 2. And we multiply 30 times 2 to get their pace. It was a nice slow saunter, we call that. Maybe they just went for a stroll. I love a lot of juicy words that talk about a slow wander in the woods. Nice and easy. 60 minutes per mile would be their pace. Okay, great. Ready for the next one? The next one's going to be different. We're talking about 1/4 of a mile. If a student walked 1/4 of a mile in 5 minutes, how fast was she walking? What was her pace per mile? I'll say that again. And I'm going to reuse this paper because I don't have much paper at home. So, thanks for bearing with me. She went only 1/4 of a mile in 5 minutes. What was her pace per mile? To figure this out, pace per mile, of course, we're going to do a ratio table again. Minutes on top, miles on the bottom. What do we need to do to figure out 1 mile? Remember, miles are down here, so we know automatically how many quarters go into 1. That's right. Nice, Taryn. I see you, Landon. I see you, Drake and Olivia. I see you, Emma. Okay, 1/4 times 4 gives us 1. 5 times 4 gives us 20. So this student, if you said correctly that it took them 20, oops, that's a mistake on my part. You knew I meant minutes per mile. You would be correct. All right, friends, nice work. That's it for today.